Greetings, Micah Cohen brothers and sisters. Welcome once again to Days of Future Podcast, the show about all things X-Men. Trev?
Joe is my name.
It has been a while, so you forgot.
It's been a while, you know what? And we're staring right at ourselves, which is a little different.
A little different, yeah. I like it, though.
But this is where it all, the half room where it all started.
This is where the magic began.
Yeah.
So only once. We did one episode in here.
We did an episode upstairs, and then we're like, we need to be comfier.
Yeah.
Let's go get a couch.
Yeah.
And so then we recorded downstairs.
But everything comes around. Life is circular.
The duality of man.
Disney made a whole movie about it.
Which one was that?
Lilo and Stitch.
Lilo and Stitch. Oh, they're whitewashing Lilo.
I know, I saw. Disappointing. No, nothing against the actress. Disappointing.
Maybe a little.
Yeah. She should have known better than to take that part, right?
Do you remember the Golden Globe moment where, what's her name? Oh, from La La Land. Emma Stone. Emma Stone played like a Asian, maybe Chinese character.
In Aloha, yeah.
Yeah, in Aloha. And then Tina Fey and Amy Poehler made a joke in the Golden Globes, and it just a little bit caught on the mic. You can hear Emma Stone in the background go, "Sorry." It's very funny.
Tina Fey, Amy Poehler, low-key, maybe best award show host duo ever.
We're big time award show.
I want to talk to you. We haven't talked since the Oscars, so we got to get a little bit of Oscar talk in there.
Yeah, I literally can't remember who the Oscar host was.
It was Jimmy Kimmel, of course.
Oh,
who did a good job. Jimmy Kimmel's a good Oscar host. He does like this. He's like the good safe host now.
Yeah, I do feel like. So this is a segment called Oscar Talk.
Oscar Talk. If you've listened to us before, you knew it was coming.
Big Oscar fans. I feel like, and this could, if you've listened in the past, I may have said something completely different. I think you need to have a dual host. I think you have to have a co-host.
Well, because you're a huge fan of the Franco Hathaway year.
Well, okay. I mean, that's the exception that proves the rule.
Well, there was also the year that was like, what was it? It was like Wanda Sykes.
Yeah, but the slap happened then.
The slap happened, yeah. It was Wanda Sykes, Amy Schumer, and who was the third? Do you remember? I don't remember anything but the slap. The slap really eclipsed that entire...
She's funny. She's probably the funniest out of the three.
Was it Tiffany Haddish?
No, because she's not the funniest out of the three.
Right.
I think Wanda Sykes is funnier than Tiffany Haddish.
That's close, though.
Wanda Sykes hosted the Oscars, huh? Good for her.
Yeah.
I thought Kimmel was fine.
I thought he had...
I have a child peeking in, which is the dangers of going home. Get out of here. This is the dangers of recording. Usually the sun's not out. Mm-hmm. That's your request. Earlier was better for me. You said... No, I was going to say, usually you don't want the sun out.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're a vampire.
Yeah. No, it's not that. It's just I'm a troll.
That's true. What were we saying? Kimmel?
Kimmel, yeah.
He was fine.
He was fine. He had one joke the joke that stuck with me the most, because I like the jokes that come... Kimmel's never going to make the most dangerous joke, but I like the ones that come right up to the edge. And I did like... I don't know if you consider this a controversial joke, but I liked before the In Memoriam where he said, now is the part of the show where we all vote on if Robert Blake should be in the In Memoriam.
That was
a good joke. Yeah.
That was funny. Yeah. Because murder's on the table for jokes.
Yeah. Yeah. Murder's on the table. So
sexual predators, though, for some reason,
no, not
on the table.
No, yeah.
And then, like, anti-trans people not on the table either, apparently.
Mm-mm.
You can't... James Acaster has that great bit where he talks about people are okay laughing at trans people when I make fun of Ricky Gervais for making fun of trans people. That's when you cross the line. 2023 people are not okay with laughing at Ricky Gervais.
I feel like people are pretty okay with laughing at Ricky Gervais. I've noticed online that he is other comedians. He
really has kind of.
Which is too, because I think he is a funny guy still, and he's still a talented guy. He has definitely entrenched himself too much in. He's too. The thing I hate the most about Ricky Gervais, other than like some of his shitty reviews, but how he constantly spends all day retweeting great reviews of his own shows.
Oh, see, I don't follow him on Twitter.
I still follow him on Twitter.
I would never follow him on Twitter, just because.
I don't know why I still do. I think I do because I like to be annoyed by it.
So I think there's certain people who are good. A good Twitter follow, a Twitter follow. Usually the improv people, because they're fast on their feet. Ricky Gervais ain't fast.
It's all a cesspool now, anyways. Though Twitter is it's not great in general.
We're hitting all the topics today.
Yeah,
we're hitting all of them.
Yeah, I mean, you even mentioned we should wait. You mentioned the sun, but. Weather? Should we talk weather?
We're going to go to the weather report, and this one's actually sponsored by Storm. the X-Men.
Yeah.
She called in and said, I want in.
It seems lately like she's been up to some tricks. Like, you could...
It's hot.
Well, it's super hot, then tomorrow we're supposed to get, like, snow.
Yeah, we're supposed to... So, Michigan.
Mm-hmm. Or Toledo for me, but same... We're in the same weather zone.
The mistake by the lake is what we call that one. Yeah, it's supposed to snow.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not happy about any of this. And also, my wife says no AC, which is why it's boiling lava hot up here right now. Won't do it.
Mm-hmm.
She says no way. Yeah. And so, usually we wait till late May to turn the AC on. It's too hot.
Yeah.
It's too hot. No, thank you.
Now, Joe, I can't let this episode go any further without... Should we? Because some people might be listening to the podcast.
Yeah.
But some people might be watching our YouTube version, our video. And should we address, because this is our first time doing it up here in video, should we address what's going on in the background here? The fact that there are all a bunch of Barbie dolls.
No.
Oh, okay.
So this is the upstairs of my house, and everything on like this side of the camera is Joe related.
Yeah, this like if we were a flop, this would be like every other like comic book podcast video cast.
If you
could only see
lazy enough to turn this couch around. Yeah, I have some finely tuned chords that I couldn't move this table for. But yeah, so this is where my kids play, and they're still relatively young, and I haven't crushed their dreams yet.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've got some Raya and the Last Dragon stuff. We've got some Barbie trailer, Greta Gerwig, and some unicorns. So that's what's going on. It's when I am on a Zoom call, people usually ask about those.
Yeah. You excited for Greta Gerwig's Barbie movie?
I've got a plan. I'm going to watch the first half of that, and then switch to the Oppenheimer showing. Chris Nolan, same day. I'm going to see him. So I'm going to try and connect the two.
Okay. Make it into one big mega movie.
I'm going to be trash, and I'm going to dress up.
Okay.
As a character who's in both.
Could be possible.
Could be. Could be.
Maybe that's why they're releasing it in the same day. Maybe this is like it's like they got together and they haven't told anybody.
Dude, how cool would that be?
Yeah.
Why doesn't someone do that?
Yeah. Why do we have to come up with all the good ideas?
I don't know.
I feel like since this podcast started, if Hollywood had done all of our ideas, the industry would be in much better shape.
Yep.
COVID probably wouldn't have happened.
Probably not.
Yeah.
That weird Dalai Lama thing probably wouldn't happen. You see that?
Yeah, I saw that. But apparently that's like
he was going to come on today. But his PR people said.
But apparently that's like some idiom that we didn't know about.
No.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. It's like a weird.
It's like tongue thing.
Yeah, it's like some weird idiom there. That's like I can't remember what it like. People rush from what I heard. People rush to conclusions about it. Now the Dalai Lama has said other problematic things. He's said some things about women and things in the past. But
listen,
I'm just saying. I'm not canceling the Dalai Lama. I don't know.
Because it's up to you.
I don't know where we fall.
Remember that movie?
I don't know where we fall.
You remember Swing Vote? Where Kevin Costner got to decide.
I never saw it, but I remember...
I didn't see it either, but the
premise was too outlandish for me.
But that's what's happening now with you.
Yeah, on the Dalai Lama.
On the Dalai Lama canceling. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people are coming from all over to see where Trev's going to land on canceling or not
the Dalai Lama.
Yeah.
Canceling the spiritual leader of millions of people. Thousands? Millions? I don't know.
More than thousands.
Yeah, okay. Millions.
I would say. Yeah. He's got a lot of Twitter followers.
So does Ryan Reynolds. I don't know if I consider him a...
We've gone down that
See, we always bring it back to X-Men. Ryan Reynolds. We're talking about the Oscars. We always say Hugh Jackman was one of the best hosts.
Hugh Hefner is like...
I don't know why. Why have they never gone back to Jackman as host?
I bet they've tried.
You think?
Yeah.
You think he didn't have a good time? Because that was that one was so well received. He looked like he was having a blast. Do you think he just doesn't want to? He's like, I did it. It was great. I don't want to have a bad second showing.
I bet... Here's a big brain theory. When he's hosted the Tonys, he's won Tonys. Mm-hmm. When he hosted that Oscar, I think he thought he was going to be nominated for Australia. Because he even jokes in his monologue, because I've watched it many times, that he's not nominated for playing...
I guess, but you know what? You don't want to be nominated in the host, because to go back to the Franco Hathaway year, Franco was nominated that year for 127 Hours. Mm-hmm. And it's like, nobody really thought he was going to win, but then he also did a horrible job hosting. So he loses, and then he has to keep coming out and be even more annoying, you know? It's like...
But, Jackman is a little different than Franco, slightly.
People like him.
People like him.
He doesn't seem to be a scumbag.
Yeah, he might, though. I mean, most famous people probably are. I mean, nothing proven or even alleged, really.
We might be able to get him on this show someday, so let's say he's great.
He would appreciate this conversation. We talk about how great he is all the time. But yeah, I think he would. I bet he did it, realized how much work it was for not as much acclaim, and it's like a one night thing, right? Yeah. Like, I think movies live forever, and performances in the theater, those are long extended runs, right? I think probably like a one night thing.
Yeah. They tried to recapture the Jackman magic the one year where they brought Neil Patrick Harris. They're like, here's another stage showman guy. Wasn't the same.
I mean, he's a pretty good host.
He wasn't a great Oscar host.
He's done some fun stuff. I just think the writing is a little because they need to what a lot of people. No one agrees on humor. It's such a subjective thing. It's really hard, right? Like, there's just brilliant shows, and you're like, no one watches.
So the only thing I would agree with you. The only disagreement I have on that is it seems that to me the whole world has come around and said the new Night Court is amazing.
Is that true?
No, I haven't. I don't think I've seen this.
Richard Bull's rolling around in his grave. Wait, is he?
No, he's not dead.
He's like the only one who's not.
Well, John Larroquette obviously is. He's on the show.
I thought it was John Larroquette Jr.
No.
Okay, I'll say something right now. I think in its shorter run, I think the John Larroquette show was better than original Night Court.
Refresh my memory. They were like a taxi depot, or they were like a
it was
train
like a bus,
station,
like a train bus station.
Yeah, and he was just like a curmudgeon. Was that it?
Yeah.
Why all those guys who had like 80 sitcoms then went on to have like curmudgeon shows. Becker, like
Dancing.
Yeah. I guess those are the only two examples I have.
I was trying really
Bill
hard.
Cosby went on to be like a real life curmudgeon after
that's one word.
That's one word for it.
That's a word for it. Yeah, I mean John Larroquette, Daryl, Chill Mitchell, Larry Clark, other people.
Yeah.
Great show.
Yeah.
Great show.
Better than The Single Guy?
No.
Okay.
Nothing tops it.
That was our last reference we had to get in.
Yeah, legally. With this, so that the opening monologue is sponsored by Jonathan Silverman. So, do we want to go into our main subject, our main topic already?
Yeah, why not? I think I think it's worth. I don't have a lot of banter on this one. As we've said, the thing with this show right now is we're in a position of still just kind of waiting for, because this show tends to be more heavily geared towards not just the comics, but we love talking about the movies and everything, and we're still waiting for Disney to make a move. Well, and we'll talk about that more in our next episode. But right now we're just like, well, what's going on?
Yeah. So we've been trying to, because also a lot of our Daisy Dukes, as I call them, because they're not listeners anymore, because they could also be watching. So our fan base should be called the Daisy Dukes.
Okay.
Is that fair?
I like it, yeah.
Because they also like to wear little short jeans.
I was just about to make the same. Do you think they all wear Daisy Dukes when they listen?
I think they do.
Because we're wearing them, you just can't see it on camera.
Yeah.
Joe said it's hot up here, and we had to take extreme measures. So
when we start our Patreon, is when we'll show our Daisy Dukes.
What is this? What is the least successful Patreon of all time?
Somehow
we have negative subscriptions.
So that's the thing, is you actually have to subscribe to Patreon for us to stop sending you Daisy Dukes. So we've got 7 billion trifolds of me and you and Daisy Dukes that we're just sending to everybody. It says, you don't want these anymore? You go to this Patreon. We'll take you up the list. So,
but for our main topic, we are going to talk about a recent comic. And it's been a little tough because Joe and I both over the past year, one of the things that kind of got in our way was...
That's what I was going to say.
We both got pretty behind, and I still am.
Yeah, and so that's what I was going to say, is a lot of our Daisy Dukes are lapsed readers, right? So it's kind of hard to stay current. People I talk to are like, yeah, I love X-Men, I love this series, I love that. I've got friends who are now just starting the Krakoan era. So it's kind of hard to stay current. It really is.
And it's harder now because the Krakoan era started and it was already kind of there was a lot of titles, but it seemed fairly manageable and kind of contained.
Yeah.
And then the Krakoan era did what always happens with the X books is it just went nuts.
Yeah.
And then it started doing the thing that I don't like with Marvel, where books only went up to issue 12 and stopped and restarted and they introduced new titles. And I wish there had been some more consistency to it all.
So this was your idea. Was something we wanted to cover is just a small miniseries.
Yeah, I'm always happy when something comes out where you're like, well, we can read this because it seems like it's a little out of continuity. It's in this Krakoan era, but it's not tied to any of the bigger story themes. And also, it's a writer I like. It's a writer we talked about before.
Yep.
And then just for me, we'll talk the concept. I'm sure you'll know exactly what I mean. When this was like announced, this seemed right up my alley because they kept saying the selling point of this was, this is like a Grindhouse X-Men book. That's what they kept calling it. X-Men meets Grindhouse. And so I love not just the movie Grindhouse, which I do love, but I love that movie because I'm a huge fan of old exploitation cult cinema. Crazy horror films of the 60s and 70s. And just like blaxploitation, nunsploitation. If something's being exploited, I like it.
In
movies. In terms of film genres.
In art.
Yeah, in art.
Not
in real life.
You don't watch the news. Someone's being exploited.
No, I don't run CNN, so I'm not.
All right. So this was a series that was from about September of last year, I want to say.
I think it started around then, yeah. So the series is a 5-issue miniseries called
4-issue.
No, it was 5 issues. Did you only read 4?
I only read 4. There's only 4 on the app.
Well, then you didn't read the conclusion.
I did wonder what that was about. See, look at...
Yeah.
I'm showing them.
All right, well, that's 5. So do you feel like you're confident enough to...
Yeah, let's go for it.
The 5th issue is where, we can actually talk about that because...
This is an issue with the app.
Okay, the app, yeah. So I get these issues, but we can talk about how the structure is kind of weird. But anyways, we haven't said yet. The name of the comic is Ex-Terminators.
Ex-Terminators. Because if you're looking on the app, and I was dumb, I was typing in EX. Mm-hmm. It's not. You won't pull it up.
There's been a character before Exterminator. It's like it's one of those things where you're kind of surprised there hasn't been more books with that title over the years in the X universe.
You remember I was in a movie called that.
I do remember that. You're claiming you're a big Heather Graham movie.
My Heather Graham, Jennifer Coolidge, Amber Heard.
And Jennifer Coolidge is having like a huge moment now.
That's me.
Do you think has she got in touch with you or?
Oh yeah.
Are you one of the? Okay, because she talked about how after American Pie.
We've probably talked about this on the show, but yeah, I was an extra in a movie called Ex-Terminators. Anyways, so Ex-Terminators is the series. It's it's 5 issues apparently. What's with the 5th issue? What is the
5th issue is a strange kind of like, I don't want to call it like just a epilogue, but it kind of is like it's a denouement to the story. Where, we haven't even talked about the story yet, so I guess we'll talk about the story, and I'll kind of tell you like what the 5th issue is like. Yeah, but it's written by Leah Williams, who is a writer I really like. She's done some great stuff. She wrote like the Emma Frost issue of like the X-Men like villain standalones in the past. She wrote some Gwenpool stuff I liked.
She did the last series. She did X-Factor, which was very enjoyable.
Yeah, which is great. It was one of the unfortunate ones that was like one of the first ones to get canceled.
Yeah, it was really weird because that was one of the better ones too.
But yeah, she's a great social media personality and comic writer. She's just I'm a huge fan of Leah Williams. And then the art is by Carlos Gomez. Wasn't super familiar with Carlos Gomez, but I did like the art in this quite a bit. I
want to talk a little bit about the art and concepts about. This is the story opens with a content advisory warning.
Yeah,
which is relatively rare. I can't talk today. Rare.
Although it does seem to be kind of joking to a certain degree,
Kinda.
Yeah.
Kinda. So
because each issue has it, and each issue says different things. Like in terms of like the last couple of things. Because if you have the first one open, it says it contains crude humor, alcohol usage, partial nudity, strobe effects, violence, and some of your favorite mutants acting like absolute dumbasses.
Yeah.
I mean, strobe effects. That's obviously a joke since it's a comic. But then favorite.
Well, it's also Dazzler.
Yeah.
I
didn't say the team yet, but absolute dumbasses. I mean, so it is being humorous. You know what? Like, I know you want to say something about it. My thing with like the content warning and a couple other things in the book itself are that one thing about the Krakoan era is you feel every writer feeling the pressure of how do we get in these like Krakoan like pages that Hickman started that are in all X-Men books now.
Yeah, I get that. I thought what I wanted to talk about with the art. Mm-hmm. If I didn't know, first off, that it was written by a woman, this would be less enjoyable because it would be more exploitative
But that's what they're aiming for, too.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But it definitely... I was like, I hope this is drawn by a woman, too. Because, it's a lot of exposed limbs and
I mean, it's
parts.
not... Remember we read that one, like, X-Men erotica book, X-Women? Yeah. It's not that.
No.
It really harkens back more to... like the 90s when like it was more common to draw all female characters in very particular poses, very flesh, forward exposed. Yeah.
And so my thought, and I don't know enough about the process, like, is that in the copy, you think, of like...
I think it was a part of it, because when they, like I said, when they're saying Grindhouse...
There are certain things that they like reference into it, but then I'm like, how much did...
And Leah Williams has always been a writer who seems to relish in that, like, she's never like... I think she kind of has the mentality of like comics can be sexy, comics can still, and I think she finds like the exploitation element funny.
Yeah,
I don't think she's, I would say she's a very, well, I know this just from her, she's a very sex positive like personality and writer in general. So I don't think she would consider it exploitative as much as she's saying no, it's still fun to be sexy. And comics can be sexy too.
Yeah. No, I agree. I just if this were written by 5 men, it'd be a little.
Yeah,
I mean,
do we want to just give like a general like who the team is and just a general like 2-sentence like if you wanted to boil this book down to like what is Ex-Terminators?
Yeah. So the main person is Dazzler, Alison Blair, who famously has been one of the first X-Men to actually get their own solo book back in the day. We've gone back. We've even talked about
she was originally kind of a failed experiment by Marvel that they've kind of redeemed and resurrected over the years numerous times.
She's kind of shown to have a few different fun elements, and we've obviously shown. We talked about the movie that almost happened with her. Anyway, so this is kind of a story based around her a failed relationship. It starts with her kind of dumping her short-term boyfriend Alex, throwing the classic throwing stuff out the window. Right, we get clothes, records thrown out, and she says, "You know what? I gotta call my girls. I gotta call my BFFs. Let's go get drunk." I know a karaoke bar, and let's do it. And so that's where we're introduced to the next 2 members of the team for this run. My girl, Jubilee, who I tried to wear my Jubilee shirt, and I'll tell you, not in shape for that. I didn't want these people to know how out of shape I was, so I didn't wear it. And then Boom Boom, Tabitha Smith, who we've always appreciated for years. Member of X-Force, New Mutants, overall kind of reckless bomber of things. And so that's kind of the group. Is that the start of the story is them gathering at this bar, get drunk, and forget about your woes.
And honestly, like at that point, I'm already in because you and I have talked about how like this is some of my favorite stuff in X-Men comics. If this never went into like an adventure, like if it was just a one shot about these 3 women going out to like hang out at a bar, like I'd already be like, this is great because like that's what we like about the X-Men world is the, like
when they have Thanksgiving dinner.
Right, playing baseball. The interpersonal relationships are just enough. That's like one benefit of the X-Men universe in general. These characters really feel like they've known each other forever. And you can do these stories and you can like mix and match the characters and say, what if these 3 just hung out and decided to get ripped,
It's one of the best parts about, I think, mutants in general, right? And why I feel a closer attachment, and why I think a lot of people feel a closer attachment to the X-Men, is they have this, you don't choose your family. You're kind of born into this world.
You choose your nose.
I don't get that.
You can't pick your family, but you can pick your nose. You ever heard that?
No.
Okay.
I'm gonna cut that. Your nose, that is. So we're gonna they have this built-in like this is the family, right? And they're all kind of connected through this X gene. The Avengers don't have that. They're all stupid. Fuck the Avengers. That's what I say.
The Avengers have it, just not to the same degree. It's not as explored as much.
Not really. They got jar. They show up to do their laundry. That's what they do. And so there are some fun moments, but obviously you're thinking Grindhouse action. That doesn't sound like, what's going on here? Well, it turns out Alex is not just some simple boyfriend. Alex is actually
a vampire.
A vampire, yeah. Which I love vampires in storytelling. I think vampires are one of those things that just like instantly already have this sort of connection to the reader, right? Of like, ooh, okay,
yeah,
I'm already in a place. You say vampire, I'm already in there. Oh, maybe even unlike any other, creature, genre of person.
Yeah, I don't think there's any monster that's as go-to in comic books as a vampire. Yeah, and one thing that's like forgotten a little bit, I think, or maybe just not talked about enough, is that vampires also have a very like long storied history with the X-Men. Like, the vampires have been a kind of recurring.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Dracula himself, but then also like there was the Gischler like X-Men Vampire War storyline, and like
even right now, Omega Red is basically a vampire.
The Wolverine book, the
Wolverine stuff. And then obviously, Jubilee.
Yeah,
was a vampire. Right?
That's one thing I will say that is not explored in this book as much as I would.
They just touch on it for a second.
Yeah, strange.
Yeah. I was wondering why they didn't.
Yeah,
I was like, there must have been like that conversation must have happened.
Yeah,
where they're like, do we talk about this at all?
Because you think you could like, explore this a little bit more, where like they have to go to some kind of vampire like hangout, and she knows it still or something.
Yeah,
you know?
right.
It's
just,
or
like,
she
recognizes, or
they
like,
just like you said, they just briefly mentioned that she was a vampire at one point.
Yeah. And so, as you might imagine, what we're led to is the three of them into this kind of vampire murder world.
Yeah. So it turns out.
I was half expecting Arcade to show up.
There was a reveal that I thought was going to be Arcade.
Yeah.
But yeah, it turns out that the bar they go to, Alex it's actually a front. Like Alex has bought this bar and he uses it to lure women in to like kidnap them for.
Not unlike yourself.
All right, we don't need these kind of accusations floating around.
Allegedly,
up to like 4 people do listen to this, so we need to like keep this.
And some of them are cops. No cops listen to this.
I hope not.
So the bar's a front for him to kind of, I
don't know what we want to say yet because we don't want to give away that reveal yet. But he's taking the women for purposes.
Yeah. And so what we that leads to some action-packed moments. Now here's the point where I kind of want to mention how this is all kind of being framed, which is our group of 3, a 4th does join, being kind of interrogated, being kind of questioned by the Quiet Council on Krakoa, which, for those of you who aren't caught up, Krakoa, which is the Mutant Island, they have their like main group, which is a lot of the X-Men that you would imagine, and some you wouldn't, who kind of run the rules of things, and they're trying to figure out what's going on with the audience as the girls are kind of explaining what's happening, which leads to some fun moments, but also they don't explore it a ton.
I wanted to ask your opinion on the framing device as someone who like also like me gets into like narrative decisions and things like that. Did you? Yeah, like I felt like I have 2 thoughts on it. First of all, I feel like it was introduced at the wrong point. Like the first issue should have started with it.
Yeah,
because we don't get the framing device I think until the beginning of the second issue.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I wasn't. That's what I was.
And I guess the 2 things I want to say actually connect, because my problem with that is that it does a thing which, I don't know if you agree, I kind of don't like this in comics, where the first book ends on this like cliffhanger, you know what's going to happen, and then when you start with like that, the next time with the framing device, it kind of is already telling you, oh, they're all going to be okay. You know what I mean? It kind of like gives it away a little bit.
Yeah. So the first book, which I think we could say, ends with this reveal of like who's they're like, oh, you're fighting through all our vampires.
But, well, because he's taken them somewhere and he's put them in these like they've put these like outlandish costumes on.
Yeah.
Them and all these, they wake up with this place with all these other women and they're all being given costumes, and so they're dressed like famous movie characters or literary characters or anime characters. Yeah. And then they're like, well, then they fought through the vampires and he's like, well, I have another challenge for you. You're gonna have to fight someone else. Yeah. And do you want to say who the reveal is?
It's Wolverine.
The Laura Kinney
Wolverine. Yeah.
The best Wolverine.
But
Wolverine.
But we quickly realize that they're not going to fight. I mean, Wolverine is fully aware.
I like that reveal because it ends with her. You know, she seems so feral. Like, oh my god, what do you do to her? And then the second issue just starts. She's like, oh hi guys.
Yeah,
like,
she's not. She's like, yeah, let's get out of here. Yeah. So, but yeah, the framing device definitely. It's late. Like even in the second book, it just doesn't. It didn't make sense a little bit.
It always serves to throw off the momentum of the story. Yeah. Like when you're popping ahead to say, hey, they all got out of this and now we're talking about it, and you're basically only using it for jokes, it felt like, for like kind of like funny little ha-has with like the Quiet Council.
Because the way they get to the Quiet Council is funny and like it's interesting and funny enough. Mm-hmm. They don't need that.
Yeah. I would rather just take all those like all those interludes and have them be like the last issue, right? Of them talking to the Quiet Council and about it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I will say, like, I was expecting a little bit more violence.
Yeah, that's something I want to talk about as well.
So they tease it a couple times. Like, I love this moment. I think it's in the third book where Boom Boom forces a bomb down someone's throat, and then like they kind of cut away the panel a little bit.
It's so. As I said, my reason to be excited about this book when it was announced was a couple things. Leah Williams, X-Women, Grindhouse. I was like, great! X-Men fighting vampires in a Grindhouse book. This is going to be awesome. Yeah. And then you read it and you remember, at the end of the day, it is still a Marvel book, and Marvel books are only going to go so far. Yeah. Because you mentioned like the sexuality of the book and like the gratuitous element of it. Even that, I feel like, isn't it pushed as far as it could be? Sure. Like in a Grindhouse type book, you know? Yeah. And certainly the violence. Ultimately, like I walked away from it. I found, like, just to give away, we're going to have more thoughts, but to give away, I liked this. I thought it was fun. I thought it was a fun, quick read. But I don't know if I think it really paid off on the Grindhouse element as much as it could. It felt like just another X-Men miniseries, like a good one. Yeah. But it didn't ever take anything. Violence, sexuality, crudeness. Yeah. It didn't take anything to the extremes that I would have thought it would, given like the pitch, like the log line. You know. And
that's like the hard thing about just art these days now, where everything is so ready at your fingertips. Yeah. Like I'm not gonna like call my friends and be like, guys, this was like wild. You gotta check this out. Mm-hmm. It's more of like, oh, did you read this? Oh yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, you should check it out.
Like the only moment that I remember offhand that I felt like kind of like came close to living up, and I can't remember if it was an issue you read. I think it probably was when you just opened to it.
That's what I was going towards.
Yeah, when Boom Boom does her like explosives, taking off her top, and like
So the concept is they want to distract some people, and Boom Boom is in a very scantily clad outfit already, and Dazzler's like, I'm gonna tell the audience that we're basically gonna show them your breasts.
Yeah, your tatas.
Your boom booms. And she gets it, and she's like, and so she like creates the two bombs, because that's what she does, what Boom Boom does, is just create these little bombs. And so there's like a shot of her kind of exposing herself, but it's two
explosions, essentially.
Two boom booms.
Yeah.
Two booms.
Yeah.
Not four booms.
The right boom and the left boom.
Yeah.
Do you think one boom is bigger than the other?
So that was kind of fun. That was interesting. But the whole time, and I don't know if it's the concept of you have three kind of very light-oriented folks, right? Mm-hmm. So you got Dazzler, who takes the sound and turns it into bright, shiny objects. You got Jubilee fireworks. You got Boom Boom, who's doing bombs. Mm-hmm. The only one who can really like get that blood flowing is Wolverine, yeah. Right? So I didn't think this was like any more violent than a normal Wolverine comic.
It wasn't, no. Yeah. That was the surprising thing to me. I expected it to be a little bit more of a gore fest or something.
Yeah. So if you're gonna go in all extremes, do it.
Because it's probably like it's weird because it's like. We've talked before about like the strangeness of where Marvel is with like younger readers and like trying to pull in younger readers. Yeah. And this is like just adult enough that you probably we wouldn't want younger readers to read it.
Exactly.
But then not pushed enough to where adults would be like, oh, I'm reading something
like real perverts.
Yeah, I'm reading something like that's on the edge. Yeah. Like it just feels like another X book. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that necessarily, but I think if you're gonna pitch a book a certain way to the audience, you have to push it a little further.
I'll say it this way. I didn't want my kids walking in while I was reading it, but I didn't need to hide it from my wife.
Right.
This isn't any worse than Outlander, sexy show she watches. You ever watch that show?
I know.
Pure smut.
Yeah.
Pure smut. It's just women cheating.
Yeah.
Left and right.
I would imagine Outlander is probably worse than this.
Well, I mean, they are Scottish. So, I'm telling you, fellas, if your ladies or other fellas are watching Outlander, it ain't for the reasons.
Is your wife also watching Bridgerton?
She watched it, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. It's a sexy show.
Yeah.
And ladies, we know, okay? We're well aware. And you know what? It's okay. Sex positive.
Yeah.
Go ahead and watch it. You have our permission to watch Outlander. Tell your husbands and your wives.
And like I said, some of the violence in Exterminators is even played kind of funny. Like, so I get, it's going for that horror comedy vibe. Yeah. But I think there could be more horror and like less comedy. I think you could strike that balance a little bit more. There's a moment where they're standing around and to create like a maze, suddenly like these glass like panels raise, and it just happens to cut off Laura's arm.
Yeah.
And that even like it's not played like very visceral or anything. It's like instantly like a joke where she's just like, my arm, and it shows like I can't think it's like Boom Boom like messing with her arm. She's like, it'll grow back, and it's just like, oh well, And there was a moment there that I kind of liked. This is difficult. There's another thing I want to ask you about because I liked it, but then it also brings us back to something we have talked about, like a legitimate concern about the Krakoan era. Is there's a part where they're like surrounded or something, and Dazzler says, "We have to fight our way out of here." And Jubilee says, like, honestly, at this point, it would be easier for me to just die and like wake up in Krakoa.
Yeah.
And Dazzler just like the way, and that's always true now, right? And then the way like they kind of get around it is just Dazzler goes like, yeah, but you'll forget this. Don't you want to be angry? And like she's like, oh yeah. I'm like, I can't. Like if that's like their only motivation now, like to like remove the fact that death doesn't matter. It's starting. It still is like that's still getting to me with the X books right now.
So we'll have to. There's a moment where that I was hoping Nightcrawler's book would cover. And it just really didn't. The Legionnaires was the kids on Krakoa were like doing it for sport.
Yeah.
It was like a fun like death thrill sort of thing, and he's like, "Mein Gott, you got to do that," and then they just didn't necessarily explore it too much. Yeah. Now, obviously, like we said, we're a little behind, so maybe things have changed, but I don't know.
It's something that will eventually have to be addressed. To have all mutant characters be effectively immortal obviously does remove a lot of stakes from the titles.
I will say, it is. It almost doesn't matter because in comic books people come back anyways.
I know. That's the weird thing about this. But to make it such a part of the narrative where even they don't. Because here's the difference. I will defend that a little bit because you're right. The characters are always resurrected. However, narratively, for the sake of drama, when those characters died in the book, their compatriots, their relatives, they don't know they're going to come back. We as readers know they'll probably come back, right. But they at least play that moment.
Right.
In the books now, when a character dies, everyone just goes like, "Oh, we'll just wait.
They're 30th in line though.
Yeah, we'll hatch. Yeah, that's it.
She'll miss Easter.
Yeah, that's the only drama. Is how long are they going to be dead before we wake them up?
Yeah. No, it is interesting. One thing we talked about earlier is like just we love when mutants are just doing normal shit. There is baseball in here.
There is, yeah,
and it has some great moments with Doug Ramsey's wife, who I can't remember her mutant name.
Yeah,
Bay something.
Yeah, the one who came from Ten of Swords.
Yeah, and they like clicked. Very funny, and she's like playing catcher, and I
just that visual.
I just love the concept of it. When Doug's not playing and he's just cheering her on. Yeah. I loved it. And I love when they play
that
baseball.
Relationship has remained great.
Yeah, it really has. Yeah. And then, of course, Emma makes an appearance in here, too, which she...
You'd think she'd be a bigger part of this. Because I know Leah Williams is like a huge Emma fan. Like, she's the one...
a little busy, though, right? I think in the real world.
Yeah.
In the real comics.
She's the... Emma Frost is the one who dubbed a term I love where she calls Emma Frost fans prostitutes, which I think is great.
It's a great name.
But yeah, I thought she'd make a bigger appearance. We haven't talked about the big, like, I don't know if we want to call it a twist, but because you mentioned them coming, the baseball scenes where they come back from their adventure. But there's another element to this that is like a surprise or whatever. This is where I think you thought Arcade was going to show up. It turns out Alex is not really the main villain necessarily. He's working for someone.
So Alex, turns out, is actually the... So spoilers if you don't want to know this, but that's up to you now. We put that in your hands. You understand this. He's actually the grandson of Dracula.
Yes.
Who, if you don't know, his dad, can't remember his name, infamously kind of seceded from the vampire world. So him and his dad are like, they're vampires, but they're not like in the clique of the Vampire Nation.
And because the Vampire Nation, if you don't know, is like right now the Vampire Nation has like this kind of like tenuous peace agreement with like the mutants. Yeah.
And as you can imagine, some of the vampires don't like that. So Alex is actually working with the Collector.
Yeah. So that's why he's collecting women. So and he's there.
Another notch on his old bedpost.
Where he's taking him to is like the Collector's spaceship.
Some sort of weird.
Craft. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so that's kind of where the climax of this ends up. And
well, the climax for you, not the people who actually read all 5 issues.
Correct.
Yeah.
They solve that problem pretty dang quick.
They do, yeah.
It's like half an issue they're out there.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. Like that's why. Like it's funny thinking that you didn't read the last issue. Just
it's
like,
real
wow,
funny.
The story wrapped
it's
up
real
really.
Funny. I'm gonna find it. What's it called?
Ex-Terminators number 5.
It's not though, bro. Oh, I wonder if it hasn't made it to the app.
It probably hasn't made it to the app yet. No. You gotta get these. You gotta go get the issues, man.
Bro, what do you think? I'm not made of money. Seriously, I'm not made of money. So, okay. Well, spoil it for me then, I guess.
Well, I won't give away all the details, but I mean, like, what the last issue is necessarily like because you saw. I guess where you ended was in the cliffhanger of Dazzler asking Dracula for a favor, right?
I thought that was just. I thought that's how they.
Or?
No, I thought. Wow. I thought that's a little truncated.
Oh, okay. Like so, that's like we'll pay this off someday.
It's yeah. We'll see. And I was like, oh, maybe Dazzler's doing something in her own book, or maybe they're going to spin it off into an actual book. They do that sometimes.
No, and here's where I think. So, what the 5th issue is. Here's where I think, like again, like the Grindhouse part of it.
Yeah.
I think this might be Leah Williams paying a tribute to like the movie Grindhouse. Mm-hmm. So you remember Death Proof, the Tarantino. Mm-hmm. And how the last half of Death Proof, or the last like few minutes of Death Proof, is just the women like beating the shit out of Kurt Russell, right? Like turning the tables on him and going after him. That's like the 5th issue. The 5th issue is the favor that Dazzler asks Dracula when he shows up at the Quiet Council. Because first he comes in and he's like, you killed all these vampires and everything, and he's like, I want justice. Yeah. We were supposed to have this peace agreement. And Dazzler basically says, well, the vampires we killed were working for your grandson, who's like a splinter unit. So obviously we did you a favor, actually. Yeah. And she says to Dracula, like, and he's like, and there's actually a funny moment there where she goes like, and I bet you even had a bounty on him. We're probably owed money. And Dracula's just like, yeah, all right, get them the bounty money. And they start to pull it out. She's like, no, we don't want your money, actually. Because they don't need money on Cocoa. They get the pharmaceutical money.
Big pharma.
Big pharma.
Boom pharma.
And then she says, no, I just want a favor from you. And what the 5th issue reveals is the favor is just a boon. Yeah, and then what that boon is she just says, before you go get Alex and take him to whatever you're going to do, can we just go beat him up? Yeah. That's really what the 5th issue is, just them returning to the bar. It turns out that she found out that he never actually had the legal right to the bar, so she buys the bar, and she comes in with the Exterminators, and they just like beat the shit out of Alex and his like compatriots, and then before handing him over to Dracula, and then and then the book ends with them saying to her like, well, what are you gonna do with this bar now? And she's like, I don't know, maybe just tear it down, but it's kind of like insinuation, maybe she'll keep it open, and then it ends with like the Exterminators will return, insinuating that there might be more adventures for this group. And the other thing about that last issue is, and again, remind me if this happened in what you read or not, because like the 4th and 5th kind of blur to me. But in like where they go for their like last kind of battle with him, Magic also shows up as a member briefly, and you find out that the reason she does that is they show like she shows up and they do a flashback of like, why would Magic have gotten involved, and she's like, they ask her for her help, and she's like, I don't know, why would I help? And they're like, well, when we show you what we found, where he's taking those things, you'll want to do it. And remember they found that like little demon baby. Yeah. They show that to Magic, and she's like, oh, okay, yeah. And then it ends with Magic like cuddling that thing, and she's like, oh, come on, little baby, I'll take you back to like your hell dimension, limbo. So yeah. I think that'd be a fun. And I think Magic is obviously like Magic should be added to this team, right? Yeah, it just seems like she just should fit right in. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think who I'm most excited about to be part of this would be Boom Boom. Because I feel like, I've spoken on the New Mutants, and yeah, the prestige of being a New Mutant in the New Mutant book, but it's like, I feel like they get overshadowed. And obviously, I feel about Jubilee.
Yeah.
One of my faves.
And I think we said like Dazzler's always like feels like she should have a bigger spotlight role. Yeah. Like,
so if they just go around beating up ex-boyfriends, ex-girlfriends.
Like honestly, that's the thing of what I say. Like, I would be down with this becoming a regular, like an ongoing with this team, if only because it would feel... This is what I want to say about the book in general. Why I liked reading it. I don't want to say I'm completely burnt out on the Krakoan stuff at this point, but I feel like I'm getting there. Like, I'm getting to the point of it being like, it's like it's been the focus for like a long time now, right? We were so excited when it started, and now it feels like a little overwhelming. And to read another book where it's just 5 X characters, 4 or 5 X characters, hanging out and going on this adventure that's like nothing to do with Krakoa.
So, and I do think, sorry to cut you off, but I think that there's things that they can pull from Krakoa, Quiet Council, Hellfire Gala, that they can kind of keep up in terms. And just kind of lose the land and maybe even the regeneration.
But I think having a team like this that would always just be like, you know what, we don't really care what's going on in Krakoa right now, right? Yeah. We're just like we're like 4 or 5 women who just want to go out and have fun, and then they keep getting in these different adventures, and it's just kind of like what is the weirdness that they're up to all the time?
I think it'd be, and they don't seemingly, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. It seems like they don't do these like serialized miniseries where they like keep going. Like just do 5 issues now. Next year, instead of just continuing it as a normal series, just do Ex-Terminators, subtitle. Ex-Terminators, subtitle. Like, and so instead of like the pressure on everybody to be like, you've got to put 18 issues together in a row and make sure they all click, and there's gonna be filler issues, and then they have to worry about what's going on in story arcs and things like that. Is they just do these little pocket things of just like, okay, now we're gonna do this.
Well, next year the Exterminators fight mummies, and then Frankensteins,
and then mommies.
Okay. Now see, you're getting in the spirit, the Grindhouse spirit.
Yeah. Overall though, pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what you think once you read the actual whole story. Okay. But yeah, no, overall, I'd give it like a strong B, I'd say.
Okay. B for Boom Boom.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'd give it probably a J for Jubilee.
Okay.
It was my girl. They didn't bring up her son though.
No, I'd actually give it triple D.
All right,
sorry.
Okay. Perfect.
Also for Boom Boom. They make a joke about her breast size in this book.
And there's actually made me think back,
like, I know this is going to sound pervy, but like, because there's all...
I need to isolate that.
Well, because there's a whole like thing in there. I mean, I was trying to think, has that ever been like a character trait of hers before? Something people commented on, because it's like there's a whole like discussion about how big her breasts are. Yeah, and how Jubilee's like kind of just blown away by it. And I was like, is that?
I don't really. Yeah. I don't really see that. Yeah. They also talk about Dazzler's butt, including the peach emoji.
Oh, I did say, I think it's in one of the issues you read, we're talking about like the Krakoan, like the text pages, the one that shows them trying to recruit Laura, like on the text thread, very funny, where I think it's Boom Boom that just keeps sending her like the meme, and Laura like quits the group chat, and they invite her back in and said just send her the meme right away again. I liked that. That made me laugh.
I did like that they kept calling Alex Piss Boy and kept insinuating that he had a urine fetish.
Yes. But that to go back to that, what I just said, like that is one thing I love whenever we get to see like X-Men text threads or something. Yeah. Again, like just hit at that like hit at the reality of their world.
Who's on the most group threads? You think text chains?
I bet the New Mutants, the original New Mutants.
So you think somebody because Magic is probably on a bunch but didn't start them. Because people want her to be popular, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, you're saying like you want me to pick one person that's in the most group? Yeah. Jubilee.
You think Jubilee because she's a little drama?
Yeah, no, she's also like of that generation.
She's been around a long time. Like Wolverine would have her if he would be like, yeah, Jubilee's fine at having a thing. Yeah. He's not gonna let a Noel.
There's nobody like doesn't like Jubilee, right? She's just kind of, but yeah.
Well, don't tell the '90s people that. Back in the day, kids hated Jubilee.
Yeah.
Not me. Maybe a little bit back then, but now I've grown. Definitely appreciate her now. Okay, I mean, so that wraps up this ep. Anything else going on? Anything you want to talk about?
Well, since we have just a little bit of time, let's do it in this episode. I know this isn't very X-Men related, but sometimes, I don't know if people know it, sometimes we talk about non-X-Men stuff. You wanted to talk to me about my opinion on the Super
Mario Brothers movie. Okay, so Super Mario Brothers movie just came out a couple weeks ago, right? Big hit. Everybody loved it. Now, you're coming in with some sort of like weird cinephile, like, oh, I just watched, Parasite, and now let me see how Super Mario Brothers does. No, obviously, its storytelling does not make sense in a bunch of things.
Yeah.
But you don't need that for this.
That's okay. So here are the.
Oh my god! The three. Jalopy Polapo is a French children's animated movie that really does a great storytelling.
The three most like boring film opinions online. I'll tell you them right now, right?
Oh, okay, here we go.
Avatar had no cultural relevance. It didn't stick around.
I don't agree with that. Jake Sully.
Of course. It's nonsense. Avatar 2 came out, proved people still care. It's just that the majority of Avatar fans aren't stupid online people that get obsessed with every minutia like Marvel and Star Wars fans. Number 2, all Wes Anderson movies look the same. The dude's only made like 9 movies in like 15 years and you're complaining about this.
Probably
also,
more like 30 years. Probably more like 30 years.
And also like really like the that kind of like visual aesthetic started in his later half of his career more, and also just there's been 30 Marvel movies that all look the same and you're not bitching about that.
What's your favorite Wes Anderson movie?
Grand Budapest Hotel.
Oh
maybe?
shit, okay,
yeah.
that's good.
Third, it's not supposed to be good. It's just like
that's not what it is.
It's just a kids movie.
No,
here's the problem. No, here's the problem. Here's the problem, Joe. Is you can say it's just a kids movie, and I said this in my review. That's fine. I'm not. It works. It works in a little bit in kids film, just like Minions does, just like Boss Baby does, just like Sing does. But if
French film.
I mean, I didn't like Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. You know, it's not like I love all these, French. Right? I'm pretty sure that was American, but Marcel. Yeah, the great French actor Jenny Slate. So
she's French.
What was the point I was making? Kids movies don't have, like, if we can acknowledge that some kids movies are better than others, which we all do.
Yeah.
But then if I say, like, well, yeah, Mario Brothers is, like, on the lower level, everyone, like, fucking loses their mind. Everyone's like, how dare you say that about Mario Brothers? And the only reason you're reacting right now is the same thing. And here, I got into a discussion with another friend, like, you just don't like Mario. Dude, I was born in 80. Woo-hoo! The reason I saw Mario Brothers is because the reason I saw Mario Brothers and I don't go see Minions or those other kids movies is because I am a Mario fan. And what I expected was a movie as good as the Lego Movie, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, Turning Red, Encanto. There are good kids movies that have good kids that have good stories.
I have seen all of those movies.
Yes.
And they're all good. Mm-hmm. I had a way more fun time at the Super Mario Brothers movie.
What I would ask you about the Mario Brothers movie is, this is why I said, like, here's where my thing with it, and this is where you say I'm just being a grump or whatever. I've been, and I think you're with me to a certain degree, just in recent years, I've been getting more and more frustrated with how everything in Hollywood is just completely IP, cynical, driven, right?
Yeah.
Take the iconography of Mario Brothers off that movie, right? Like, imagine, because there's a way to do nostalgia and like references and be fine, right? I'm enjoying the current season of Picard, which is like has a lot of Easter eggs and nostalgia stuff. Sure. The thing is, if you took that same story, right, and removed the Star Trek iconography off of it, I would still probably be into it as like new characters because it's telling an interesting story and there's like been character arcs and things. Yeah. Now imagine that wasn't Mario Brothers. It was just another kids movie where it wasn't that world of those characters. You would watch it and you would have no reaction to it.
Great point.
You would go like, wow, that was nothing.
Great point.
So you're only reacting to the fact that you're seeing the characters you like on screen. Which if that's nothing against that, but that's my point. It's not a great movie. It's just it's a good commercial.
But that's the thing. Duh. I mean, like, I don't know.
But I don't know why it's like upsetting to people for me to say that. Like, it's
because you can't put your mind in other people's bodies, which I know you want to do.
I'm just telling you how I feel. I'm just saying, like, to me, it was like
I want to hear how you feel.
To me, it was a bummer of a movie because I thought slight tweaks could have made it better.
You thought like Luigi would get some sort of drug addiction and overcome that.
You know what? I thought Luigi or Mario would maybe have an arc.
They did.
They didn't. My buddy, I brought that up, and my buddy was like, "Well, Luigi." Spoiler alert for Super Mario Brothers.
He had sex.
He's like, Luigi's like a coward the whole movie, and then at the end he gets brave. And I asked my friend, and he had no response to this. I said, "Yeah, what happens during the movie that suddenly makes him brave?" "Oh, nothing. It just gets to a point where suddenly he's brave because the movie goes, oh, we need him to be brave now so that people can say that's his arc." There's nothing in the movie that makes him suddenly discover his bravery.
Yeah, he sees his brother and how brave his brother's been.
He sees his brother, and then suddenly he's able to do everything that his brother trained how to do for like the past couple of days, even though Luigi's been locked up in jail the whole time.
You don't know what's going on. The sequel's going to be exploring that aspect of things. Listen. I get
Mario's arc is that his family like thinks he's like they don't even think he's a loser.
This is not the hero's journey.
They don't even think he's like a loser. They're just kind of like maybe it was a mistake to open your own like plumbing business. Like that's like the problem they have with him at the beginning, right? And then at the end they go, you know what? We were wrong that you shouldn't have opened your own plumbing business because we just saw you beat up a giant turtle. And I was like, oh, that's a good arc. What? Like it's somebody could have sat down for like 2 hours and like polished it up a little bit. Mm-hmm. Why is Peach a human? Where'd she come from? They like talk about it just dropped. Who's Toad? Why is he so obsessed with Mario?
Are you listening to yourself?
I know you like. Listen, I know you're like riding high on the hog because obviously
I'm not riding.
Your performance of Peaches is like so like everyone's like loving it and saying you should win an Oscar for it. This is the thing. You were too attached to Jack Black because you're a clone of him.
That's not true. That is not true.
Are you one of those people thinking like Jack Black should win an Oscar for his performance? Oh my god, this is the best voice acting performance of all time. It's like, yeah, he's doing a Jack Black thing.
I like the song. I love the song.
The song is just the word Peaches over and over. When I see people say it should be nominated for an Oscar, that's very, very funny to me.
It's going to be nominated for an Oscar, and you're gonna be mad.
Yeah, I will be mad. If the only way I won't be mad is if somehow for the rest of the year no other movies have original songs. Because if 5 other movies have original songs for this year, I guarantee you there's 5 better songs than Peaches.
No. Was seen by 3 people once, and it was a beautiful rendition of songs that should be nominated for an Oscar.
I mean, you can keep making this joke all you want, but I want you to go see every dumbass kids movie then, and come out of it and say, you know what, that was just what it was. That was good. Why you?
Yeah, that's what I've been doing.
Yeah, and do you like them all?
Yeah, I've owned some of them.
Yeah, but you own them because you have kids.
Yeah. They're stupid.
I don't care. Yeah, I don't care if an 8-year-old loves this. They should. They should love anything.
Anything, even drugs.
They should love.
Is that your official? Kids should love everything, including.
I'm not. At the end of the day, I'm not going to feel bad for saying Illumination made another bad animated movie. Guess what? It's Illumination. They're not great. Looks amazing. Looks incredible. But you know what? Most animated theatrical movies now.
Let me leave you with this.
Look amazing.
Wahoo!
Yeah, great.
Okay.
Chris Pratt was Daredevil as well. He didn't do a great job. He was very flat. Let's admit it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
that's fine.
I still don't understand that casting.
I believe the box office understands that.
That was not for Chris Pratt. You could have had Bobcat Goldthwait could have played Mario and it still would have the same.
Now you're thinking.
Would have had the same. Remember that John Mulaney and the Sack Lunch Bunch skit about like the focus group with kids? Like, yeah, they don't care.
I don't even want to bring up what I was going to bring up now.
No, go ahead, bring it up.
I took some dying children to see the Mario movie and it cured them.
Great.
So, I mean, to each their own, I guess. We'll be back. Next time is going to be a fun episode. Also going to be contentious.
We'll see.
We're going to lock it in.
This is our lock-in, right? Yeah.
We're going to lock in. So get your minds going. We're locking in our prediction for the X-Men cast. Okay?
For the MCU X-Men cast.
MCU X-Men cast. We've danced around it for the past decade. It's time to lock it in. Okay? Now, we still might be 5 years away from the movie.
Yeah.
But we're locking it in.
Hope Jack Black writes a song where he's just like, snickety snick, 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 snick. Everyone's like, Oscar worthy, the best song.
Did the greatest harpist ever, and they had Jacques.
Look, I'm glad you think Super Mario Bros. Is the new Fantasia. I'm just saying.
Oh my God, Fantasia! I'd rather watch Super Mario Bros. Than Fantasia.
Well, I would. It's shorter, so I probably would too. But
the truth comes out. All right, we'll see everybody next time.
See ya.